Imagine this every day. You're making small choices that add up. Maybe it's taking a new route to work or deciding to smile at a stranger. But here's the thing. Did you know that with just 15 minutes a day, you could totally transform how you speak English? I know what you're thinking. That sounds too good to be true. But let me tell you, it's not. Welcome to a journey of gradual, consistent, and powerful improvement. You don't need to overhaul your entire life to speak English more confidently. And you don't need to spend hours every day memorizing grammar rules or vocabulary lists. Instead, I'm going to show you how to make English learning a part of your everyday routine so that when you look back, you'll see just how much you've achieved. Today, we'll dive into the simple yet transformative habit of daily English practice. By the end of this video, you'll be inspired to make just a few small changes every day that will bring big results. So, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about how 15 minutes of practice can change your English forever. The power of consistency. You know how when you wake up in the morning, brushing your teeth feels automatic. It's a tiny task, but it makes a huge difference to your day. Imagine applying that same logic to your English learning. The key isn't to spend hours studying, it's about consistency. Think of English learning like brushing your teeth. You don't need to dedicate an entire afternoon once a week. Instead, you commit to doing it daily, even if it's just for 15 minutes. But here's where it gets interesting. Your brain learns through repetition. Every time you listen to a sentence or practice speaking, your brain absorbs the sounds, the words, and the rhythms of the language. Over time, this repetition forms strong mental pathways, making it easier to speak faster and with more confidence. If you think about the way we've all learned basic skills, repetition is the foundation. For example, when you were first learning to tie your shoes, it probably felt awkward, right? You had to repeat the steps again and again before it became second nature. The same applies to English. At first, it might feel like you're not improving, but the more you practice, the more natural it will become. Your brain starts to wire itself for language, and you'll begin to notice that it's easier to remember words and phrases. Let's look at this in action. You can listen to an English podcast while making breakfast, during your morning commute, or even while taking a walk in the park. Every moment you spend engaging with English, even passively, is a step forward. Your brain is absorbing the language, making it easier to use it when you need to speak. Picture yourself brushing your teeth in the morning while listening to an English podcast, then switching to shadowing some sentences while you're getting dressed. This simple daily habit, when done consistently, will slowly transform how you approach English. The 3 pillars of consistent practice. Let's break it down. The reason consistent practice works is that it affects 3 key areas of your learning. Repetition and retention. When you hear something multiple times, you start to recognize it. You begin to identify words, phrases, and sounds without even thinking about it. This is your brain working to commit these new things to memory. The more you hear a sentence or a word, the more familiar it becomes. And eventually, you start using it without even having to consciously think about it. This isn't about memorization. It's about internalizing the language through repetition. This process doesn't require you to be actively engaged all the time. You might not even notice it, but your brain is absorbing the patterns, sounds, and meanings of English when you listen to a podcast or watch an English video. Over time, you'll find that you understand more of what's being said and can recall words and phrases when you need them. 2. Automaticity. At the beginning of your English journey, you might hesitate when speaking. You might translate every word in your head, trying to form sentences. But with daily practice, this hesitancy fades. Soon, your mouth knows what to say before your brain has to process every detail. This is the magic of automaticity. Think about how, when you speak your native language, you don't think about each word you say, it just flows. This is the result of years of practice. Speaking English can feel the same way if you consistently practice. At first, it may be slow and deliberate, but over time, your words will come more naturally. This automaticity doesn't happen overnight. It requires regular practice, even if it's just for a short time each day. But with every practice session, you'll notice that you're not pausing as much to think of the right words. It will come more fluidly, more naturally. And before you know it, you'll be speaking with confidence and ease. 3. Confidence. The more you practice, the more comfortable you become. In the beginning, speaking English might feel intimidating. You might feel nervous about making mistakes, or you might be unsure of whether you're saying things correctly. But by practicing a little bit each day, you'll start to feel more in control, like you can hold a conversation without getting stuck. Confidence is a huge part of language learning. If you're constantly worried about making mistakes, it can hold you back. But as you continue practicing, your confidence will grow. You'll start to feel more at ease when you speak. Even if you make a mistake, you'll realize that it's part of the learning process, and it's okay. This confidence doesn't come all at once. It's built gradually, one small step at a time. As you practice every day, you'll begin to trust yourself more. Your fears will lessen, and you'll feel more capable in your ability to communicate. And when you make mistakes, you'll start to see them as opportunities for growth, not something to be afraid of. By now, you can see how powerful consistent practice is. It's not about spending hours in front of a textbook. It's about dedicating small amounts of time every day, repeating the same tasks, and allowing your brain to internalize the language. As you do this, you'll find that you speak English more automatically, and your confidence will grow. The more you practice, the more fluent and natural you will become. In the next section, we'll discuss the simple and effective ways you can start incorporating these practices into your daily routine. You won't need to make major changes in your life, just small, daily habits that will transform your English over time. Daily practices to boost your English. Now, let's talk about the how. What should you actually do in your daily 15-minute practice? I've got a few simple ideas to get you started, and you can pick whichever fits your mood for the day. Learning English doesn't need to be stressful or overwhelming. You don't have to dedicate long hours to be successful. In fact, just 15 minutes a day, if done consistently, can lead to significant improvements. Let's go over some practical and enjoyable ways to incorporate English into your day. Listen to English. One of the easiest ways to improve your language skills is by simply listening. You don't need to sit down with a textbook or worry about not understanding everything. The goal here is immersion, letting English become a part of your environment. You can grab an English podcast or audiobook, then listen while you walk, cook, clean, or even during your commute. The key is to expose yourself to the language regularly. Don't stress if you don't catch every word. Over time, you'll start recognizing more and more words and phrases. Think about this like listening to music. At first, you might not understand the lyrics, but over time, you start catching some words or even singing along. English works the same way. You don't need to understand everything. Just let the rhythm of the language sink in. With consistent listening, you'll begin to pick up new vocabulary and become more familiar with how sentences are structured. Shadowing sentences. Now, let's talk about a powerful practice called shadowing. It sounds more complex than it is, but it's incredibly effective. Shadowing involves listening to a sentence from a native speaker and repeating it immediately, almost like you're their echo. It's a simple technique that can help you improve pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. The beauty of shadowing is that it's not about memorizing vocabulary or grammar rules. It's about starting to sound more natural in your speech. You mimic the speaker's tone and flow, and this helps you become more familiar with the sound of native speech patterns. For example, you could find a short sentence like, "I'm going to the park." Then, you repeat it after the speaker. You don't need to understand every word or focus on grammatical structures right away. The goal is to get comfortable with the sound and flow of natural English. Over time, this practice helps your brain recognize and reproduce native-level speaking rhythm, tone, and cadence. Read something simple. Another great practice is reading. But here's the trick. Keep it simple and don't rush. Reading is a fantastic way to improve vocabulary, get used to sentence structures, and expose yourself to different styles of writing. You don't need to dive into complex novels or textbooks right away. Start with something easy. Pick up a short story, a news article, or even a blog post. Read it slowly and try to understand the context of new words as you go along. The goal is to enjoy the reading process, not rush through it. If you come across a word you don't know, try to figure it out from the context. Don't stop every time you encounter something new. Keep reading, and over time, you'll become better at inferring meanings from context. And don't stress if you don't understand everything immediately. The more you practice, the more you'll start recognizing familiar words and structures, and your reading comprehension will improve. Write a few sentences. Writing doesn't have to be a daunting task. In fact, it can be a fun way to practice your language skills. The key to writing is to keep it simple. Start by jotting down a few sentences about your day, your plans for tomorrow, or something you're excited about. It doesn't need to be a formal essay or a long passage. Just a few sentences are enough to get started. Writing helps reinforce your grammar and vocabulary, but it also trains your brain to think in English. The more you write, the more natural it will feel to express your thoughts in English. Plus, this practice will help you identify patterns in sentence structure, making your spoken English more fluent and more accurate over time. For example, you could write, "Today, I went to the store, I bought some apples and oranges. It was a sunny day, and I enjoyed my walk." By writing these simple sentences, you're practicing grammar, vocabulary, and the structure of English sentences, all of which will improve your overall fluency. Talk to yourself. Here's a practice that might sound a little strange, but is incredibly effective talking to yourself. "Yes, I'm serious." Don't laugh. This is actually one of the best ways to practice speaking English without any pressure. Talking to yourself helps you get used to thinking in English. You don't need to worry about someone else hearing you or making mistakes. Just describe what you're doing out loud. For example, you might say, "I'm making lunch right now. I'm cutting some vegetables. I'll cook pasta in a few minutes." The more you practice speaking out loud, the more comfortable you'll become with the language. It's a simple, low-pressure way to build speaking confidence and improve your fluency. Even if no one is around to hear you, this practice will help you get more comfortable forming sentences and thinking in English, tracking progress, and staying motivated. So, you've been practicing daily. And now, what do you suddenly wake up speaking perfect English? Not quite, but you'll notice something small but powerful happening. Each day, you're building momentum, and with time, this momentum will become a snowball of progress. Let's take a closer look at how you can track your progress and stay motivated. At first, you might not notice dramatic changes after a single day of practice. But that's okay. Even the smallest step forward is progress. The beauty of consistent practice is that it's cumulative. You're laying the foundation for growth, even if it doesn't seem obvious at first. Let's break it down. After a week of consistent practice, you'll notice that you're starting to understand more, and your speaking will feel smoother. Perhaps you'll have learned a few new words or phrases that you didn't know before. Maybe you'll recognize patterns in the language that you didn't see previously. These small wins matter. By the end of the month, your vocabulary will have expanded, and you'll likely find that speaking is a little faster and easier. You'll even notice that you feel more confident when you talk. Remember, confidence isn't something that happens overnight. It builds gradually. And consistent practice is the key to that progress. Tracking your progress to stay motivated. It's helpful to track your progress. One great way to do this is by keeping a calendar or checklist of your daily practice activities. Write down what you did each day, whether it was listening to a podcast, shadowing sentences, reading, writing, or speaking. As you go through your daily practice, celebrate those small wins. Maybe you learned a new word or understood a sentence structure that confused you before. Track those moments, and over time, you'll see just how far you've come. Another great idea is to review your progress weekly. Set aside a few minutes each week to look at your accomplishments. You'll be amazed at how much you've improved, and that will fuel your motivation to continue. Tips to make practice easy and fun. Now, let's talk about how to make this practice sustainable and, most importantly, fun. Because when learning is enjoyable, you're more likely to stick with it. Here are some tips to make your English practice feel less like a chore and more like a hobby. Create a routine. Setting. A specific time every day for your practice is essential for consistency, whether it's first thing in the morning or just before bed. Having a set routine makes it easier to stay on track. If you practice at the same time each day, it becomes a habit, just like brushing your teeth. And once you get into that habit, you'll be surprised at how easy it is to find 15 minutes for English every day. Choose what you enjoy. Learning doesn't have to be a drag. Don't force yourself to read a boring textbook or watch dull instructional videos. Choose materials and activities that you enjoy. If you're passionate about cooking, listen to English cooking podcasts. If you love travel, watch travel videos in English. The key is to make learning fun. When you enjoy the process, you're more likely to stick with it. You'll find yourself looking forward to your practice sessions, and that excitement will help you stay motivated. Be patient. Learning a language takes time, and it's okay to make mistakes along the way. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn. So, be kind to yourself, and remember that language learning is a journey, not a race. Over time, you'll see gradual improvements. At first, it might feel like progress is slow, but trust me, every small step you take will lead to significant results. Be patient with yourself. And remember that learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Remember, learning English is like growing a plant. You water it every day. And though the growth may not be obvious at first, over time, you'll look up and realize how much you've learned. So, start today. Commit to those 15 minutes and watch as your skills grow. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends who are also learning English. Comment below and let me know what practice techniques work best for you. Until next time, keep practicing and believe in your progress. You've got this. Catch you next time on Listen and Learn English, where consistent practice meets fluent results.